So I was thinking about technology, and so okay, so tech and how it's changed over the decades, where it began, um, and you know, I think technology is, as I said, particularly if you're somebody who fancies themselves a storyteller. And I mean, you may not fancy yourself a storyteller, but I think people who deal in content, in whatever ways you contribute to the content stream, you're dealing in storytelling, and so technology is a big part of that. So whether you're talking about your laptop or your smartphones, or dealing in social media, dealing in websites, this, this, applications, software, security, it is a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole. But I remember when this all started. I mean, what's interesting about, because Ty was talking about schooling and how school had let us down, and to my mind, I feel as though it's not. I mean, yes, in to some degree that's true, but I don't want. I mean, I think there's obviously room to criticize and critique education, insofar as how do we critique it and talk about ways in which to make it. We can make it more relevant, especially in a paradigm that, well, for myself, where lifelong learning is the new norm, right? That's the new norm, is lifelong learning. And how does education sort of feed into that? What ways do you make it work, and what ways does it go? How does it go? So okay. So thinking about it along those lines, and thinking about it, I guess, if you're a Gen Xer, as I am, and I feel maybe, I mean, I feel like we Gen Xers, who are now probably, the cohort that are sort of we're moving into management, we're moving into ownership, we're moving into these positions of authority. I mean, I'm on the younger, well, I don't know I guess I'm on the younger, I mean, I don't know, when did Gen X start, right? But anyways, our generation is the generation that sort of saw and is sort of presiding over the transition from analog to digital. Now, digital probably began, to be fair, I'm saying maybe even pre-70s. Who knows? It probably came out of World War II, as many technologies did. But it only entered the marketplace. I mean, the home computer, I think, was the 70s. And at that time, I mean, I didn't lay eyes on a computer until I was about 8 or 9, I think. We went to a computer lab. We actually had to get on a bus and go to some, I don't even know where we went. We went to like some place, and I think it was like literally called like a computer lab. And we went and actually, it was a school trip to go see these things called computers. And we sat down. I remember, and we had to follow these instructions, and there was instructions by the computer, and the teacher, who I guess, wasn't our teacher, was some other, like the camp teacher or whatever, was like, okay, so now you're all do you see that button on the front of your, the console? Press that button, and, do you see that floppy disk? There's a floppy disk, it looks like this, and put that, there was this whole protocol for how you got the whole thing to start up. And once you were in the machine, once the machine turned on, and you had to learn these commands, because it was a DOS interface, right? For anybody who's my age, you know what a DOS interface is. But anybody who's younger probably has never seen the thing, but you will know it if you've ever worked in command line. So anybody who's worked in command line knows and understands the whole DOS interface system, and the whole, how you move through the file system through that interface. And it wasn't until, I guess, I don't even know when the sort of the icon, or the clicking, the point and click interface became relevant. I mean, the next time I saw a computer, I guess I was in high school. I mean, this is okay. So what I'm trying to say is the education system could have anticipated the transition that we moved through. Because when I was in grade 10, I mean, I think we had a computer lab in my high school. But to be honest, I think we got the computer lab when I was in grade 11. But because when I was in grade 10, I think I took typewriting class. And I mean I don't mean word processing class. I certainly don't mean computer class. I mean ding, ding. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? Right? So did education fail us? I think timing was the thing. I think this is a question of timing. This is a question of coming along at a point where analog was giving way to digital. And digital, to some degree, you could think of digital as not just about the devices that we're using, the technology that was coming online, but I think digital sort of meant giving way to a different way of thinking, a different style of being. Suddenly, it wasn't about necessarily, graduating and joining a company. I mean, that's what I did. But I think a lot of people were looking at, suddenly you had this wave of entrepreneurship being the new norm, right? So I feel like the kids coming up right now, I mean, I've even heard of courses. There were no entrepreneurial courses when I was a kid. There's no such thing. Conceptually, it didn't exist, and certainly not in a sort of a pre-formatted, sort of packaged, way that you'd be able to take a course in or take a class in it. When I was a kid, that was non-existent. But I feel like the digital age, this democratization of information and know-how, has facilitated just a whole new paradigm, for us. So it isn't so much, I think, that education failed us. I think nobody was prepared. Nobody was prepared for the impact of technology and the way that it would become this force of change. I think we're still not prepared. I think we're still playing catch up. I think not only are we playing catch up, but I feel like now you've got, I don't think anybody really saw how entrenched, but the implications of this type of technology might be. In a way, I feel like, in as much as I'm a big advocate for technology, and I still am. I think technology is has the potential to be wonderful. It also has the potential to be really dangerous. And I don't mean this to be like to scare people or to be like, stay away from tech. I don't mean any of those things. If anything, I say the exact opposite. I say dive in. Dive in and dive deep. That's what I say. Get to know it. Be familiar with it. Be fluent in it. Don't let it intimidate you. Don't let it lock you out. Don't let the people who talk about all of the, don't let that be the barrier. I would say you have to have a healthy grasp on all of the tools that we use, all of the tools that are at our disposal, right? And I think that's what's really great about the STEM, the emphasis on STEM, is that, I think what it endeavors to do as a movement is that it endeavors to break down that barrier between the haves and the have-nots. This idea of elitism, I think, which traditionally had to do with having money, but now that as we move through this new age, this age of digital, this age of communication, this age of technocracy, the new ruling class is going to be that class that really has a handle on technology, right? So this isn't about demonizing technology. It's about understanding it. It's about wielding it. It's about moving through it and being fluent in it. It's about really being at ease with it and not letting it manipulate you, right? Because I mean, there are lots of people who use it but don't know how it's using them, right? And I think that in the age of this technocracy, that's the mindset that you're going to have to sidestep, right? We all use technology. Sometimes you use it, you don't even know you're using it. You don't even know how your phone works. Like I say, this idea of equilibrium with our environment, we're so far away from being that class of being, right? That's what we should be. We should have a relationship with our environment that is about achieving equilibrium. But equilibrium is only achieved through true understanding of our environment. But we're still far away from that. We don't understand how anything works. We don't understand how our laptops work, how our phones work, how our cars work, right? And in an environment like that, it's very easy to spook people. It's very easy to get inside people's heads. It's very easy to intimidate people, right? And make them feel inferior, make them feel insecure. Because in fact, they are insecure relative to their environment. When things break, they don't know how to fix them. So the only thing that you have that gives you any kind of security is the money that you make. Because by virtue of having money, you can replace everything in your environment. If it breaks, just buy a new one, right? Right? And that makes sense until it doesn't, right? Because at the end of the day, buying a new phone or buying a new laptop or buying a new smart television or buying a new smart car doesn't protect you from the effects of that technology on you. So not just your health, but your psychology, your security, your autonomy in the digital space. All of these things are relevant. All of these things are impactful, right? And I just think that all of that is true. And maybe it's being dealt with in education today. I'm not really sure. But in terms of the education that I came up with, there was just no way to anticipate that. There was just no way to know how pervasive digital was going to be. We had no way of knowing.